Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 386. 386. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'll be hosting the show temporarily until the chairman is available. And I'll just go ahead and do the preliminary since we're running about 5 minutes late. I'll bow my head and say a short prayer, after which I'll do a short reading from the Bible. I'll bow my head. Divine loving Father, we come before thy presence asking that thou would continue to look after us, that thou would continue to guide and protect and bless us, and continue to be merciful unto us. Don't know us to our hearts, our desires, even our most secret thoughts. Loving Father, we pray that thou must bless our people of Belize, the country and its leaders, that thou would bless this country, its people and leadership as well, and that thou would bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in war zones and are being hurt for no justifiable reason sometimes. We pray that thou must bless those who are in earthquake areas, and tsunami areas, and hurricane and flooding and all manner of disasters. Please continue to abide with us. Please continue to be merciful and help us that whatever we have to say and do tonight may it accrue the benefits and goodwill on behalf of some people. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for allowing me to indulge in that part of our uh, show. And I'll just go to, I'm going to try and read a part of the New Testament for tonight. Matthew chapter 7. I'll read I'll start at verse 1. And it says, Judge not, that you be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge it, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye met, it shall be measured to you again. And why holdest thou the mote of that is in thy brother's eyes, but condemn not the beam that is in thine own eyes? And that is the reading for tonight. Uh, I see our chairman is not available as yet, so I'll just go ahead and okay. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and do a little preliminary here to bide the time. Just give me a second.
We begin our newscast tonight with BTL's.
Okay. Um. Okay. What I wanted is not coming up. I need to go back again for a second here. Oh no, it's not working out. Okay. Please spare me another second here. I need to go to a different location to come up with the material. Okay. I'll just do a short reading here from an article that was posted today, 3 hours from 7 News Belize. It says Ashcroft urges BTL to deal or to delink or separate, in other words, SpeedNet Smart from cable company acquisitions. He discloses a number for the first time. That is that Mr. Ashcroft, seeing the blowback that the BTL board and the Social Security board are having, as well as the blowback that the Prime Minister's family is having and others are having in regards to this sordid issue of trying to sell the BTL asset, sell the SpeedNet and other assets to our government-owned BTL, so that these people can cash out upfront. Some of them are now apparently getting the sense that people aren't going to be tolerant about that, and are not, they are getting exposed, and they're pulling back. But as usual, Mr. Mr. Ashcroft is always about trying to get that money regardless. He's saying that what the government should do, instead of approaching this process the way they were doing before, that is to try and buy up all these other assets together, including his asset, or the asset that he is um, looking out for, because he wants his uh, whatever millions are going to be involved. There are big millions that are going to be involved, and he wants his part of the money. I think I see a couple of our people there, and the chairman for tonight can let himself in, so I'm going to try and see if I can let in Mr. Morrison before I take off with the show, and then end up doing something different than what the chairman. Good night, Mr. Morrison. Uh, the chairman is available in the background, putting up something temporarily. So I don't know if I should just. Okay, I'll just let you, Mr. Morrison. Oh, sorry. I'll just let you go ahead and introduce yourself, sir, and give the chairman another few seconds. No, man.
Okay. Well, good evening, Mr. Brackett, and good
Good
evening
evening,
to our
sir.
listeners.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence again.
Thank you, sir.
Please
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
sir. And
Introduce yourself.
good evening to our listeners across the breadth of Belize and the diaspora, wherever they exist. Belize has a well-sprung audience and citizens across the entire diaspora.
World.
Recently, I was the world. And recently, I was talking to some Belizeans that live in Australia, and I was like, "Damn,"
That's what I was about to tell you.
you know, uh,
Australia, England,
yeah.
different parts of
And
Europe, some
yeah,
parts of Africa, and some parts of Asia as well. But anyhow,
yeah.
um,
I just wonder if there's some in Antarctica.
well, who's to tell? For all you know, they might be listening to us down there too. Only that we
Yes,
can't
yes. So
verify.
yeah. I'm just glad to be joining you this evening, and just the wide range of issues going on in the country at this time.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
we talk about crime, we talk about political corruption, we talk about mergers and acquisitions and all type of things. We talk about kidnapping. We're not left out on any of the scenes.
Yes, sir.
So so you
Um,
just you
uh,
just saw that. Says,
our chief engineer and chairman for tonight is Mr. Brackett. He's in the background working on something, and not too sure how much more time he will need. I was hoping that maybe we could give him as much time so that he can take his program and run the way he wants it, rather than for me to step on his toe and maybe, because I was about to do it just now, just oh, he's available now. Thank you, uh, Mr. Chairman. Welcome for tonight, sir, and thank you for gracing us with your presence. And are you back to go to you, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
I want to say good night to you people at home and abroad. I
Good
want
night.
to thank you for tuning in to this our 386th edition of Belizean Affairs. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure sitting with you guys virtually. And tonight, we are still dealing with the hot topic of BTL acquisition of the other corporations or companies. I want to say that it is not the first time we're going down the same track. It's like you have a record player playing the old 45 and the record is cracked and you keep playing it trying to bypass the scratch, but it keeps coming back to you. Because as I have said, and many a night sitting virtually on this program, whenever the blue gets into power, all has to come to mind is privatization and nationalization. And tonight we're dealing with that. But I want to take it a bit further because I've sit up here and I have mentioned something else that is going down the same track. And I want the people, both at home and abroad, to see that when I say something, I'm not getting ahead of myself because here on Belizean Affairs, we show and tell what is happening in the country of Belize. So with that said, I want to go to the first here with Mr. Vasquez.
Lord Ashcroft has no economic interest whatsoever in the Waterloo. Can we show the Ashcroft release? In the Waterloo Investment Charitable Trust. Bring up the first paragraph of the release. Bring it up to the first paragraph, that's second. If we can show the top of the first paragraph, it will say that, yes, there we are, SpeedNet, owned by the Waterloo Group Charitable Trust. My goodness, another charitable trust. Let me go through the charitable trusts I have had to endure. Belizeans have had to endure these nothing burgers that they keep, Mr. Ashcroft keeps pushing on us. And we eat all like, we got gas, sir, because nothing other in the burger. Sunshine Trust, I remember that one. BTL Employees Trust, the BTL employees still wait for their money. Last time I heard Mr. Courtney speak about it in 2018, he was in court. BTL Employees Trust, we have so much tens of millions for the workers. Workers can't get nothing yet. You're the tech with the konomono, Mr. Ashcroft. You're the play, with face. We're not simple. Damn, all of them charitable trusts and nobody can get no charity yet. All you get the profit. 230 million from the accommodation agreement. That may be going to our next trust, but no. Fees and interest and loans and gone. Sunshine Holdings Trust. Belize Healthcare Charitable Trust. Show the Lee bouncy house looking place, Mr. Denver. Aha. Belize employees, that them going to build a hospital. Ashcroft may give them a donation. One or the trust may get a donation. This was supposed to open in 2011. That was named the Belize Healthcare Charitable Trust. Sanford, some group, Sanford out of the US, a credible group, I believe, said they would build a children's pediatric hospital. Play with people breads. That may be opening in 2011, but something with the government and the government. Stop playing with people, man. Stop tech weave is simple. All of them trust, and nothing can happen yet. We not trust the trust. We don't trust it, you can't trust it. So that was the Belize Healthcare Charitable Trust, nice one. They also have the Hayward Charitable Trust. I think they own Dunkeld. Dunkeld, a big corporation. One registered at St. Croix, one registered at British Virgin Islands. The Hayward Charitable Trust, this is their website. The website is full of information about judgments, Supreme Court judgments, how much money they get. I want to know, Mr. Hayward Charitable Trust, At least that website is still open, still active. But I want to know who get from the Hayward Charitable Trust, sir.
What was it about?
It's just another one of Mr. Ashcroft Charitable Trust for the people of Belize, but we can't see the charity yet. I always see that the profit. So.
With that said, gentlemen and people at home and abroad, I said earlier we keep going down this road. Now Mr. Ashcroft is claiming he don't has nothing to gain in this year. But I don't have to remind the people of Belize.
Mr. Chairman,
how
can I be insolent again in just asking
how much taxpayers had to pay for the government to get back the Belize Media Corporation? I go to you first, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, let me just put this stuff here away. Okay. Let me put save and I can move on. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I didn't really want for you to come to me for my full measure. I was just trying to ask you for a quick permission to interject something based on what Jules was saying quickly. And I'm going to go back to it. And that is that all of what we heard Jules alluded to just now is not all of what is supposed to be available. That is only what he knows about and that he can back up, because he have the evidence or the paperwork or the paper trail in order to comment about it. But there's a lot more behind the scene. But he just gave us a little sample. And that's how I wanted to say that, people shouldn't get the idea that Jules has spoken substantively about every and all of the trust them and everything else that, should be beneficial to Belizeans. He did do a mouthful or quite a bit of them, but there's a lot more behind the scene that has not been, or he can't address because, like I said, he doesn't have the paperwork to be able to, because that's how he operates. He likes to have his paperwork or his documentation or his evidence, because that's the level of the professionalism that he has in terms of his media house. I yield back, Mr. Chairman, unless you want me to.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Mr. Morrison, I go to you for your input.
Thank you, sir.
The tape that I just played.
Yeah. Well, it is, things didn't break until Mr. Ashcroft did make his press release. We looked at what was happening yesterday with the pretend board meeting that they were supposed to have and the press conference, and we saw a total unwillingness on the part of the chairman, Mr. Mark Lizaraga, to discuss in any meaningful ways what the BTL was buying. He keep ramping and saying this is private deal. How could it be private deal when in fact they're utilizing public funds? They have invested public funds in the from the Social Security Board, and so there was nothing private, and just that his insistence was telling us that there was something substantial that they were trying to just push across and to hide from the people and to leave us holding once again a bag that would not be of service to the people. So I was very concerned, and I was glad, and I'm hopeful that this doesn't go any farther, and maybe the deal of the acquisition may not be bad, but we need to know the facts. We need the transparency. They spoke of many areas where duplications was made in terms of the infrastructure that has been built out. But what they were asking BTL to do was to buy out this duplicate build out and to probably pay full price or excessive price, when in fact, because it's duplicated, it should be discounted. So that's what I have to say at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
Greg, we have a little something in the background that's we're hearing doubles. Like it's not the show is
Okay,
not.
I will second that. I
Yes,
go
sir.
to you, Mr. Brackett.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Um, in the first place, if BTL has bought or acquired or have in their possession already over their long-term planning purposes, as Mr. Lizarraga had intimated, why the hell are they going to go ahead and buy another company when they already have twice or double the amount that they have because they are planning for the future? They're going to go ahead and buy another company that is not the equal of BTL, only to be able to provide fundings for the upfront to cash out the owners of the other company, to facilitate the other company dipping into our money that should be available to us either as profit and or as money that could be going to the government or the government institutions that own the bigger shares of this particular company. And he's going to come with his nonsense to try and tell us that he is working as a private individual for a private company to which he is the chairman. Is this knucklehead idiot really don't understand how he got his position on that in that company? That company is a company that belongs substantively to the people of Belize through the Social Security money, through
The government acquisition.
the government acquisition, and the Belizean people who have been funding or buying shares in that company. But the majority of that stuff is he got appointed on that board because the government has the power to appoint the directors. There's only one director on that board that comes from a private section, that is the small shareholders. Okay? All the other directors are being appointed by the Prime Minister. And they were appointed there for a specific purpose. Initially, the intention was to drain the BTL company, make it ineffective to the point where they will turn around and say, well, we have to get rid of it because it's taking money and it's not being profitable, and we got to sell it back so that some person can turn it around again, either Mr. Ashcroft or whoever else, maybe the people that used to own Smart before Mr. Ashcroft took over the whole thing, that they could get it pennies on the dollar. But now they're turning around and trying to tell us that we have to buy it so that those other people could cash out for a lot more than what it's really worth. It's onerous in so many different levels. And then this jackal is going to come and tell us as a kleptocrat, right? Because all he's doing is hustling on behalf of people who have been sitting there on that seat. He's going to come and tell the Belizean people that he, as a business person, knows what's required for business and that business wouldn't discuss business information in public. It's a public funds. The people want to know how their stuff is being managed. But he will hide behind that principle of private business as if this company is more private than public. He doesn't understand none of that. But we are supposed to understand what he's telling just the average Belizean person who would not be a business-minded person and would know nothing about what he's talking about. Just rant and tell us a conflated story, and people supposed to just say, well, the man must know what he's talking about because he's not the head. He's nothing more than a. Let me back up a little bit.
You know, just Mr. Brackett, just his behavior show that he doesn't have the
They need to be
fiduciary.
fired. All of them need to be fired.
He should be, well, particularly Mark Lizarraga, he should be removed as chairman of the board because he did not display that he has the interest of the board. He talks about fiduciary responsibility, but he failed in every way to present that and to protect that responsibility that he was given, to protect the shareholders and the interests of BTL in moving ahead so strongly with this acquisition without giving us the citizens and the investors in BTL any information on how this transaction is to be valued. all they were doing is accepting whatever price these people were pricing their company for and offering that price. They didn't tell us that the price they gave was looked at by their auditors and they had come up with a different valuation for the company. They did not tell us what assets were considered and how those assets were valued. They did not tell us what liability these companies have holding. They did not tell us what we were exactly purchasing. Were we also purchasing the buildings where these businesses are operated out of, or would we be stuck with having to pay rent to these owners of these businesses? They told us nothing about what asset we were purchasing. They did not tell us what information and copyright laws and liabilities these companies are still outstanding for. They did not tell us what taxes are being owed. They did not tell us if, in fact, these employee pension plan and social security taxes were paid up. And
Obligation.
and so we knew nothing about what the people of Belize and the shareholders of BTL was purchasing, and yet they tried to pass it off and to move into a quick run um, buy sales and to favor everyone's interests, the prime minister brother, maybe the prime minister, but definitely the Briseño family and the other holders of those companies that they were looking at acquiring. So this was just corruption. It
At
seems
the
when you
highest.
look at it, it seems like it was just pure corruption and handing over money from the good people of Belize to a set of scammers.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. I want to say this. If you guys ever read my posts on Facebook
I
when it
did.
comes to these things, I always post within the Constitution and what the law says. We have been having this conversation. We are seeing it played out on the social media platforms and in the television stations, channel film, etc. But I want to say this. As much as this has came out, no one has ever thought about going and reading what the act says. I have done that, and that is why I speak about legalized conspiracy because of what is going on. Because I will say this tonight to you, the Belizean people at home and abroad. BTL cannot buy out those companies and form a monopoly because they would violate the act. If that was done, they could have been fined, could have lost license, and could have gone to jail. That is why when it comes to these kind of deals, people need to read the Constitution and go look up what the Telecommunication Act says. With that said, let me go to the tape so that you, the people at home and abroad, can understand specifically what I was just speaking about, because here is the past chairman of the top board.
PUC does not have to approve it. It says that if you have any sale, that sort of thing, and you do it without prior approval, that's an offense. But that law doesn't say that PUC has to approve anything. It says that before PUC approve it, you have to see if they have frustrate the objects of the act. And clearly this would frustrate the object of the act, which is to promote competition. And the penalties for these violations for licensees, and I'm telling you, the penalties for anti-competitive behavior under the Telecom Act is harsher than any act in this country. Not only you have these fines and potential jail time, After all of this, you say you must forfeit your license. If you're after you must forfeit your license to the PUC.
They want to buy out the assets of Smart and the 3 cable companies. If that proceeds, they would be violating the act by that mere action of
and their license. Yes, basically, because you admit it. You're getting rid of the competitor. You're doing this in order to affect competition. Why else would you do it? For 38 years, the government has been saying that is how we're going. A previous government cost us hundreds of millions of dollars saying we're implementing competition. And to ignore all of that and to do what we're doing it now, to me, what does it say about how our country is being managed?
It's being managed by a bunch of
People
kleptocrats.
at home and abroad. Mr. Morrison, I go to you first.
I'm thinking that probably this should not end with just them backing off. They do owe the country an explanation of what was in their thoughts and why they were pushing this through. And I also hold at fault the PUC because they had a responsibility to come out early and to tell both parties that this would be an antitrust type of violation. It's anti-competitive. And so they should have given early, clear warning and direction that this should not be the direction we were planning on going into. I understand all the issues of duplication and such, of resources and infrastructure, but that's what competition is. It means that you will have a parallel setup and build out to facilitate whatever business you're in that is competitive with another. And so for the chairman to be making all those comments as he did is just a smokescreen and was absurd and also a dereliction of his responsibilities, his fiduciary responsibility in protecting the welfare of the DTL shareholders. So I think with certainty that he should not be the chairman for the next day. Tomorrow he should just find it fit to resign or he should be replaced.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. I want to say this, Mr. Morrison. The government have learned senior counsel and other attorneys working with them. And they know the law and they know exactly what the Telecommunication Act says. And they know what the Constitution says.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So there is no getting away from it. And anyone can see, as I said, to say you don't know is ludicrous. Because anyone could have gone and read the act, and writing the act, it would have shown exactly what this past CEO of Fox is saying, that it would violate the act. So this is not something that they don't know. They know it. And I will prove it tonight why they know it. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like, first of all, before I make a regular comment that I would like to make, I'd like to digress a little bit and go back and based on what Mr. Morrison was alluding to a little earlier in terms of those people having been caught. I'd like to say, Mr. Morrison, your effort, the chairman's effort, Mr. Wade's effort, Mr. Jules Vasquez's effort, uh, all the many other names that I'm not going to be able to call because I might still leave out some anyhow. But just like let's say, the gang of people that got together and demanded accountability and embarrassed the government by putting into the public domain the information by which the public was able to get a sense that they were being taken advantage of. All these individuals, including myself, of course, played our part in terms of getting us to this point now where they're backing off. Without us having been engaged and involved and pressing against them, they would have gone ahead and do exactly what their mission was, what they had set out to do, which was to bamboozle us, the general public, get those documents signed, those contracts signed, and once it was signed, we were liable for it. We, the people of Belize. Okay? That is the kind of rascals and scofflaw individuals that we're dealing with. They have no good faith towards us, only towards the almighty dollar. How to hustle. And this is not the only instance in which they have been hustling us. There's a reason why the Prime Minister, when they first won in 2020, his own party members were against him because he wanted to put Ms. Neira Garcia, or at least they got to find out that they wanted to put Ms. Neira Garcia, who had a track record of financial issues, to work for him in the Ministry of Finance. He said, no, that wasn't the case. People were jumping ahead of him because he had not made his decision yet. But 2 days after, when he came out and produced the decision in black and white, Ms. Neira Garcia was his CEO. He couldn't have been telling the truth on both occasions. He was telling the truth the second time. That is that she did become his CEO and still is, as of today, these many years after, his CEO. And what those guys have been doing in that department, ripping off millions and hundreds of millions of dollars from our treasury that would have gone to serve the needs of our society and to pay for government services. Our people had to do without services in order for the government to meet obligations that did not have to occur. Or at least those obligations could have been cut in half. He could have paid half and paid the other half over another period of time, if he wanted to. But his negotiation was according to him when he came to the House and told us in the House of Representatives that he had settled all accounts. He put his fingers together and in quotation, he presented such a grandiose statement in the House. We have settled all outstanding accounts with Lord Ashcroft. We are glad to have him out of our Belizean business. We are getting back the port for pennies on the dollar. We are doing this, we are doing that, and the man assured us we will never see the likes of Mr. Ashcroft again in our affairs. What is it we're discussing right now? Mr. Ashcroft having the ability and the interest in seeing to it that his Dunkirk company, who holds the authority or is vested with the rights to look after the 70, what is it, 70, I don't know what the exact number, 70-something% of the company that is supposed to be for the employees and the former Belize BTL employees. They have gotten no benefits out of that stuff. The money is invested, and these people are dying without receiving any of their benefits. And now they want to go and put another 4 or 5 years for them to decide that they can hold the money, keep the money invested, and these people are going to get no. How much more people are going to die without their benefits? And then the worst part of it is that, according to Mr. Ashcroft, the benefits are supposed to go to the whole Caribbean region. How the hell did we arrive from a benefit that belonged to a few employees for them to go and make arrangements to have other people throughout the whole Caribbean benefit from it, and the people who the benefit belong to are not deriving any benefit from it? What kind of craziness is that these people are? Are we supposed to be that dotish, stupid, ignoramus, or just don't care? Some of these people belong in jail. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome,
I
sir.
go to the other tape as a part of this discussion because I want to show you the people at home and abroad. I will break this down timely so you can see what I was saying about privatization and nationalization when it comes to this government, and you always hear that story. Either they don't know when
They
you
play
ask
the fool.
them or they remain silent.
They play the fool.
Let's go to the tape.
I can't say at this point. Like other members of the board, I have questions. I am not at all familiar with the details of the acquisition aside from the global sum of what it's going to cost for the cable companies and for SpeedNet. And so there are a lot of questions, especially in the advent of technology and innovation and international competition that I believe our forecasting has to consider. And I'm speaking specifically about Starlink at this point, but it might be something in addition to Starlink in the coming years. And so all of these are factors that we need to consider when making a decision. So again, it is my hope that those questions can be answered.
They want to cash out up front and
Let
leave us
me
with
put it
the bag.
let me put it out there like this. So you, the people at home and abroad, can understand what it means in layman terms. If BTL had bought these companies, technology is up and running, and every day technology is moving forward. It means that if you are not keeping up with technology, you will be left behind. So what will happen if this deal had went through? We would have had a monopoly company. Belize would have only one company to issue service. But guess what? With all the secrecy, if Starlink should come to Belize and it is cheaper than BTL, you know what happens? BTL will not be able to make the funds to pay the debt. And you know who that would drop in? The taxpayers again. So we would be doing another bailout just like when we acquired it back from Lord Ashcroft. I go to you first, Mr. Morrison.
That's a good point, Mr. Brackett. What with what we're seeing, the state of technology, the progression, and having cable as the backbone of those companies that they were selling off, what BTL would have been ridden with, left with, burdened with, is obsolete technology. We would have had, as we look at it now, we see that people are using podcasts and all type of other social and multimedia type capability to communicate and interconnect, and even to produce, like we are, produce broadcasts and stuff to customers and to the citizens. And so what they were pushing us to purchase through BTL was a technology that would not have stand the test of time. We'd have been paying excessive amount of money because, and from some conversation that Jules had and some um, valuation that he presented, many of these cable companies less than 10 years ago was being offered for far less money, when in fact over
Under five,
time their
under,
value has
under 5
decreased.
million each.
Yeah, their values have decreased and not increased at all, just
Exactly.
because of the state of technology and how irrelevant some of these cable platforms are becoming. So I hesitate to think that all they were doing, all they were planning to do, was to shove off on the Belizean people in bad faith and obsolete technology, cashing out before the new level of technology comes into play that would really show how deficit the approach we're taking. And it concerns me greatly that we would have a chairman of. I'm an investor in BTL. I own shares in BTL. I've purchased shares in BTL since they first make them publicly available,
Mm-hmm.
and and it seems to me that the chairman of the board at BTL was not representing at all the interests of the shareholders, the investors in BTL, whether it be private individual investors as myself, the government shares that was purchased, and the shares that were bought up by Social Security Board that represents the future investment of all Belizeans that hope one day to collect on a Social Security um, payment.
Mm-hmm.
That was all put at risk with what they were planning on doing
Just
in
raiding the
terms of
treasury.
this
That's all.
acquisition.
Just raiding.
Mr. Morrison, thank you. It goes beyond that. We just had a conversation about pups. And do you know who placed them there? Do you know who placed some of these members on the same board? The Prime Minister. So all over there is conflict of interest. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and very lucid and contextual explanation, Mr. Morrison. I know I'm grateful that you brought up the points that you brought up, and other Belizeans quite well, or very likely, can be appreciative of your efforts in that regards. And to Mr. Chairman, kudos to you, sir, for tonight's program and for, in the middle of the storm, being able to hold your rudder steady and provide some kind of input to the Belizean people so that they can see exactly what is it that's causing the problems that we're experiencing and how best to be able to safeguard themselves against any further damage. I'm glad to know or hear, at least as of right now, we have been partially successful. That is to say, pressure some of these people into withdrawing their companies for being part of this dastard and sordid affair, and that at least if any of this such issue is taken up in the future, that they'll realize that there are people out here who are paying attention and who will demand accountability and who will press as hard as is necessary, even to the point of having to go to court if we need to. But the bottom line is that we have pressed them hard enough in a short space of time that they will try to, they waited until the last minute to try and pull this thing quickly and to sign it off within this same week. All of this should have been done already by the end of this particular week. And it hasn't gone too well for them. But they did not expect to come up against those kind of resistance. They thought it was going to be just a easy rollover, play dead. The money would, go into the pockets of who was supposed to get it. And that's the end of the deal. Everybody's having disclaimers after the fact. The bottom line is that they're supposed to not have a need for disclaimers. They're supposed to do what they're required to do and what they're being paid for to do, instead of acting like some kleptocrats, some greedy. I mean, Mr. Lizarraga, after he put the whole thing together, engineered and helped direct it with calls, telephone calls from the Prime Minister and others, he gonna turn around and say, well, now that the whole thing is almost completed, he can just step back, point out that he don't need to, be in the board meeting specifically. He was gonna recuse himself. But the deal is already done. Everybody is hyped up. And it's the very same people that they had canvassed and had hyped up that are then seeing them stepping aside, and they are wondering, why are these guys putting us in harm's way? And then they are stepping aside, and we are supposed to carry this thing on their behalf. People start taking and measuring with their own measure and realize that they were being taken for fools and being used, misused, and abused. Some of them are very fearful that the Prime Minister is going to be annoyed at them because he appointed them there, and he expected for them to have pulled the deal off. But they were not quick enough on their feet because within the short space of time that they left for us to do what we needed to do, we flagged their ass substantively enough. We ganged up on them, and we are carrying the day. I'm happy that in this instance, a lot of people who would not have crossed T's or crossed dots with each other or discuss the same issue with each other find ourselves on the same page and have decided to weigh in and had some success. But that's not to say that they won't try it again, because that's how they have been operating for the last 6 years. And again, like I said, Mr. Morrison, thanks to you, sir. You're one of those
Well,
nature warriors in the breach, and
well,
I can't say it enough. Personally, I need to say it in public to let the public know that this resistance did not happen just out of the blue. The hurricane storm didn't just materialize on the Caribbean and save the day. This is one of the
well,
good hurricane.
this deal would have so devalued the shares and investment of the people of Belize through Social Security Board, because it would have it would have one created this monopoly. And I'm not too against monopoly if we could make it constitutionally work, because there are some potential. I know some broadcasters and some ISP people that needs ISP services like Jules and these other television companies and broadcasters are concerned about that being monopolistic. But there is some advantage of scale in monopoly that could be benefit if it's properly executed. But what they were doing was not addressing with transparency the cost structure, what BTL was purchasing. They were not telling us in any meaningful way. They were not being clear. They were not pointing out any of the assets and what those true valuation of those assets were, which makes it a bad deal for the people of Belize. They were not, as I mentioned earlier, telling us what liability these companies had, what
Mm-hmm.
taxes were owed, what pension and social security taxes may have been owed. All these are important part of doing your due diligence in trying to determine the true value of what BTL was purchasing. And when the chairman, Mr. Lizaraga, tells us that this is private and we cannot
He's
discuss,
crazy.
but he wants to use public money. He wants to use the trust fund that people have built up over many years and hope to have as a means of some type of income in their later ages, later years from Social Security. That money would have been lessened or depleted because of this. I don't want to call it gangster, but this definitely um, deal that could not share the shadow of light. And that is the reason why when faced with this challenge of trying to justify it, at least two of the parties backed out of it. It's if they want they can if they want to sell their company, go sell it on to private investors. Go sell it to create shares in these companies and sell it to the public, and then you justify to the public why they should be investing in your company if it is so worthy and so valued. I'm sure there are investors in Belize that will participate and and buy shares in these companies. But I think they were just taking the people of the country for a ride, and it has caught up with them.
Thank
Um,
you.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman,
you, Mr. Morrison.
a statement, a quick statement. I think this same sordid affair that we are dealing with and conversing on may have turned out, if we look at it, may have turned out to be of some good value. Not that it was going to be done, but that they attempted to do it and we rallied to the point of blocking them out from doing it or putting enough obstacles. But more so, the fact that these pensioners and these other people that are supposed to get that money somehow or another got triggered now, that could be another something that we could take up and that we could press the government to see to it that Ashcroft does not maintain control over that stuff. That stuff should be under a public domain status, not private, because he is not allowing nobody to gain no money out of it, and he should not be taking that money and go spreading around money for political agendas in no other countries. That money should facilitate the well-being of those people who are the rightful owners, regardless
Well,
of whether they
you're
are
talking about the
or not.
trust. You're talking about the trust fund, not the assets of those companies, Mr. Brackett.
Gentlemen,
No, I'm not. I did not spoke about the assets of those companies. I'm talking
Yeah,
about the trust.
that's all I'm pointing out. That's all
And
I'm
Mr.
pointing.
Ashcroft needs to release that trust to some governmental agency or some of those people. Somehow or another, those people have to have control of that trust, not him. That's my
okay,
point.
gentlemen, if I may,
Yes, sir. Thank you,
gentlemen and people at home and abroad, Mr. Morrison, I will say it outright, they will break in the law in violation of the Telecommunication Act. Period. Now let me use the reverse psychology. So you the people at home and abroad and gentlemen can see where I'm coming from. Because this is nothing new, the Prime Minister had to know. I don't care what nobody wants to say. You know why he had to know? Look
Minister of
at the
Finance.
taking over of Beneficient's property.
Yep.
He was willing to go and he went and take over a private entity for a commercial purpose. Look at it. Who all remember that?
Yep.
So all the telltale sign is there. And I will show some more before we get off the airwaves. Let me go to the sale because I will prove you guys something tonight. People at home and abroad, stay around. The good part is coming.
Have you, as a cabinet member, been briefed on the proposed BTL acquisition of Speednet?
Not at the cabinet level. I haven't been briefed on it, but I have been paying attention to it. Obviously, it's something that has been intensely scrutinized, so to speak, not just by the media, but also by civil society. And I was able to see some of the remarks made at the press conference last week. So in terms of the nuts and bolts, we have not been briefed on that, but it is expected that at tomorrow's cabinet, this will be a matter for discussion.
Do you believe that the cabinet should have been briefed first, being that this is a publicly owned utility?
I've heard the remarks of the chairman of BTL saying that it's a private company, but as you rightly pointed out, it is a government-owned private company. And so I believe that we should be very upfront in terms of the information, not just the cabinet, but to the wider public in terms of disclosure, in terms of all of the nuts and bolts. This is a very significant merger, a significant acquisition, I believe a total of 170 million. And so there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. And so I think that publicly presenting that to get the buy-in from the public is vital.
Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, you heard what the Minister of Immigration said. But as I mentioned earlier, I cannot believe that it is not everything that cabinet don't know. I just mentioned how the Prime Minister went as far as taking over private properties from Mr. Feinstein
Under eminent
for
domain.
a commercial company.
And we
I
don't want
will
to
go
share.
further now. I will go a bit further to show you this is nothing new. We had just recently spoke about the Dangriga port and what was happening with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who was the private entity signing on that side? Mr. Zabani, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now I will take it a bit further to show how these things just not just does not just come around like that. You recall just last Friday when we were on air, I was speaking about the bus corporation and how the same thing is happening to it as was going to happen with BTL and these companies.
Mm-hmm.
People at home and abroad, I always say, here and Belizean affairs, we show and tell. So make no mistake, what I am saying is reality. It is not theory. It is a fact. Please listen to this tape I'm about to play and hear what the other Japanese has to say.
We're seeking to renew the entire bus fleet that runs on our national highways. About 150 new buses that we're working to procure under the new company, the new public-private partnership that you know we've been discussing.
I will stop it right there.
Oh man.
You heard what he said?
Public-private
New bus company, public-private.
on our
So
national
you
roads.
know what they are doing, right? Violating the Constitution. They will come up, as I said, public-private, monopoly, and run the current bus owners
Out of,
out of their job. And let me go back and say it because it will go further than that. Listen to what he will say.
We're seeking to renew the entire bus fleet that runs on our national highways. About 150 new buses that we're working to procure under the new company, the new public-private partnership that you know we've been discussing in the media. We also visited South Korea. We visited Hyundai and a company called KGM, and also discussing the possibilities of procuring buses from them. So along with Tron, the one company in Taiwan and the other one in Taiwan called Master, we're now getting all the information we need on what will best fit the needs here in Belize.
So people at home and abroad and gentlemen, this is showing you the intention of what this government have in mind. Look at the stakeholders. The Port Adangriga one Zabani, this private public bus, the new bus corporation,
another
another
Zabane.
Japanese. You heard what he said. I will take it a little further as to when I said, hold on, Mr. Brackett, that I can't believe there is no discussion in cabinet. And I have my reasons why I was saying that. Okay? Listen to the other tape. But before I go to the tape, go ahead, Mr. Brackett. You had something you wanted to say.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say that they got together and blamed the bus drivers then for having rickety, you know, old jalopy buses, right? That they could barely afford in order for them to hustle a living. They were doing the best they could. They start blaming them and saying that because the bus was so bad, they needed was to join up all the different bus companies them in the country. Some of them wanted to and some didn't want it to. The Japanese had already had a bus company, right, that eventually went bankrupt or went out of business. So now what they're going to do is,
And let me just add, Mr. Brackett, the government had spent over $40 million in that bus company previously,
the
and never
novellas,
got,
in the
yeah,
novellas,
yeah,
30
yeah,
million,
yeah,
and they never paid
and
back
never got,
to the Social
never got,
Security or the
yeah,
DFC.
yeah,
But go
never
ahead,
got
go ahead.
anything for it. No, I just wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
mention that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. But my point that I was trying to bring across, though, specifically, is that these guys are taking the powers of governance engineering a power play on these private people who have their bus runs and who have their own buses to get them to consolidate under the guise that it's going to be a national bus company controlled and guided by the government, but that all these private people would have a share in there, would have some kind of a benefit out of it. The only benefit they will have is to be the bus drivers then. The owners of the buses that usually have 5 and 10 buses, they can't drive 10 buses themselves, so they will have to come up with money to pay their employees to go and drive for the government so that they can get some money back, either as a part of or some shares or whatever. But the bottom line is, I'm trying to say what I'm saying because it's going a lot further. The ultimate objective of these guys is to get this thing in a nationalized state. Then they will turn around and say, okay, well, they have to sell it, they have to privatize it fully instead of the government having any control over it, because these guys are not the kind of people who want the government to have control over any money-making issues. They want to be the private people that makes the money out of whatever companies or organizations or business that could make some money. Privatize it and let them make the money. Forget about the government. If the government can't make money by taxes and other means to be able to run the government, tough luck. They are not concerned about that. The ultimate objective is to get this bus company up and running to the point where they're going to use the government connections to get these 100 buses. They want to decide who they want to have run these buses, and they're going to turn around the other one and sell the whole damn thing as a privatized venture. We have had that in our country over and over and over, and apparently, like, nobody's catching on.
Yeah,
and they're paying the same gig.
Mr. Brackett, you are right in line with what is happening, because it keeps happening whenever this government or they get in blue. This is what they do, and when they leave, the people end up having to pay all the money. But as I said, the goal is this: first, they wanted these bus owners to buy new buses. That didn't work. They start penalizing them. Then they came up with this new strategy. But I'm playing the tape so you, the people at home and abroad, can know that not everyone out there don't know the game or is not seeing what they are doing. Because when they mention, as Mr. Musa mentioned, that they didn't know about it, we hear that a lot of times. But I personally believe that something is wrong when you hear that.
Who's going to pay for the 150 buses, Mr. Chairman? Who is going to pay?
Regardless of the bus, Mr. Brackett, I want you to hear this.
Go ahead, sir.
I want you, the people at home and abroad, to hear this, because this is what was happening with BKL. And I said the bus corporation is also going to become the same way. But it goes further than that, because it was said that they didn't hear that in cabinet. But listen to what Mr. Zamani had to say.
I must say thanks very much to the Embassy of Taiwan, to the Taiwanese people. Again, they have come up significant support to us with the trip itself, meeting everybody that's relevant to this process. And we have seen where manufacturers are willing to look at a proposal from us, because we're seeking 150 new buses that would renew the entire fleet for the 21 operators who have agreed voluntarily to be a part of the public-private partnership up to this point. And so, we're very pleased. It was a very successful trip, and the Taiwanese government in particular have pledged support and offered us to share the knowledge that they have. They said that in 2002, they had a very similar situation where they had to go in and consolidate because they were having similar negative adverse impact on the quality of service to the commuters. And so we were able to learn a lot about what they have done, and they are willing to share all of that with us.
What timeline for
Well, we are sticking to the timeline that Cabinet gave us at the ministry, which is that by the end of this year, we should know everybody who is coming in on the PPP, and on the 25th, if we have a cabinet meeting, that's our aim, to be able to share this and get the green light from cabinet for the next phase, which will be the formation of the new company, the legal formation, the PPP agreement, the first draft of it, and then also the draft legislation that will protect the interests of that company.
I stop it right there. You heard what he said there. Cabinet will draft the legislation
For the new
and put
company.
it to law to take away from the regular bus owners to let this monopoly farm. I go to you, Mr. Morrison. It is
Well,
not a
Oh
coincidence.
man.
I have a different take on the formation of the corporation that will purchase these buses and then make them available through whatever mechanism to private bus operators. I think it is good, and I'll tell you why. The state of the bus in Belize is dilapidated. We need to improve our transportation staff for reliability and safety of the passengers and the citizens. And also, it offers incredible balance of payment adjustment when we don't have to provide diesel fuel for these buses, which is a high cost right now. The newer buses will be less devastating in terms of destruction on the road. And so, for those reasons, I support it. What is important is the mechanism and how they will arrange it and make it available to the 21 or so existing bus operators so that they can get these buses, put them in their fleet, and then a way to pay the government back for the cost of these buses while still able to operate them for their benefit and their customers' benefit in that manner. Um,
Uh, what you're proposing,
let me finish my
creating.
thoughts. You'll
Uh,
get enough chance,
oh,
Mr.
okay,
Brackett.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Um, um, the to make this all possible, though, we need to significantly improve the reliability of our electricity if the buses are to then have the necessary electrical charge power to operate. So there are lots of things that we need to look at in terms of it's not just building, it's not just getting buses. Infrastructures need to be put in place. Um, Bus terminals need to be put in place. So we need to look at this in a long-term strategic way. And then, a bus operates a typical bus and will operate for 10 years or some period of time, and then they need to be replaced. If you consider how we go and drive on the road, we can figure that quite a few of them, 3, 4, 5% of them, will be involved in some level of traffic accident over a period of time. How do we?
Mr. Morrison, can I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
What if I'm a bus operator and I don't want to be a part of that corporation or that company?
Well, then the truth is, technology is moving on, and we cannot have buses that remains unsafe. But and what would happen? The customer would just put those people out of business. If you have good buses, comfortable and safe and properly priced, people choose not to ride your bus. So I think it is in the interest. There are many benefits to go to the new technology.
Mr.
It's
Morrison,
like somebody say to me now, I'm an electrical engineer. I don't want to use fluorescent light. I don't want to use LED light because I have these fluorescent lights in my space. All I could say is that you'll pay a higher cost to operate them. You soon in time will not be able to refine replacement tube, or if you do, the cost will be very excessive. And so, in times, the market itself will determine your obsolescence and your departure.
Then,
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Morrison, thank you.
Yeah, Mr.
Isn't it true, Mr. Morrison?
Pardon me?
Isn't it true
Uh,
when the government
Go ahead.
mentioned this to the bus owners and told them they have to update their buses, right?
Mhm.
And the bus owners didn't have any access to money and they wanted to go to banks, whatever. Then how come the government couldn't do the same and let the owners run these buses under their own corporation and pay them back? Instead, they want to physically take it over and let them be a part.
No, I don't
You
think.
know why I asked
No,
you the
no, that's
question?
not. That's if I understand what the government is trying to do, Mr. Brackett. The private-public partnership will be that the government will fund and pay for these buses.
Isn't that nationalization and monopoly like
No, this
with
isn't monopoly.
BTL?
This is not monopoly. You will have within this sphere of things the private operators running the bus. The government is going to purchase the bus, and I don't know through what mechanism, whether it will sell them or lease them to the operators. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that is what I'm understanding is this idea of how this public portion of the scheme would work. That the government would make the arrangement for the buses. It needs to be standardized in many ways because you can't when you're getting this new technology. As I told you, there'll be accidents. There'll be many type of events that will. We don't know how these buses will adapt and suit for Belize. I hope they're not buying all 150 at the same time because
uh,
we need to we
Mr.
need to look
Chairman,
at it.
Hold,
Let me
hold
finish.
on, Mr. Brackett.
Yeah,
but
Mr. Brack, get all
we're
your time.
straying away. We're straying away from the point that I was wanting
No,
to.
we're not. We're not. We're not. We're not.
Hold on a second.
The government will have the ability to manage it through the I lost my thought. But the idea is that the government will have the control.
Mr. Morrison, I have a problem with that. Isn't that a violation of one's constitutional right to
No, no,
work to
no.
do
All the government
whatever
is
trade they want to do?
no, no. Well, the, there's efficiency of scale. And so
Uh,
the government is buying the buses because
Hold
and
on, Mr. Brackett.
that's why I said we're hoping that they would not get it all so we can make sure the adaptation of those buses is appropriate for that's what I was going to say is appropriate for the climate and the environment, the roads in Belize.
I agree with all that, Mr. Morrison. I am
Mr.
specifically
Chairman,
saying that
Let
is
me
why I asked the point. Hold on, Mr. Brackett. If I was a bus owner and I don't want to be a part of that, what would happen? Because you know what would happen? They would force me out. And
well
that is exactly what is happening. And I will prove it to you based on what you are saying. I
but
go
but
to you,
that's
Mr.
okay.
Brackett.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay,
okay.
Mr.
Can I
Mr. Mr.
before I
Hold on, Mr. Brackett. We have time.
yes, but
Go
you guys
ahead.
are having
Go
a
ahead.
conversation back and forward with only two of you, three, four, five
Go
times
ahead, sir.
in a
Hold
cycle.
on. We are trying to
And the point that I
clarify
want to speak to
something.
is getting brushed aside.
Go ahead, sir.
What I was attempting to say initially is that the way Mr. Morrison was presenting his thoughts sounds very kosher. And if that's the way the government would have been like or wanting to pursue the process, not too many people would have any objections. But that is not really what the government is after, which is the point that I need to keep for us to say what Mr. Morrison is saying sounds good. That's not what the ministers are describing. That's not what the governments are describing. That's not what their habitual practice has been in the past in terms of what they're actually trying to do. Because if you look at every state and every step that they have taken as regards to this particular bus process, they have no intentions other than to privatize that bus process. somebody's going to come in and have some money that they have to launder on behalf of somebody else and take the whole damn thing private. People don't want to hear it, they don't know it, and they're going to get to see it after the fact. But how is that going to help the people that are again getting pushed out of the industry and those who are being used temporarily to cross or make the bridge? The ones who are that the minister spoke about who are willing to go ahead in this process, they're the ones that are going to be given the buses too to run. But it's going to be done as a private, as a public-private thing. The government don't control the buses. They don't want to give it to the bus drivers. Like, in other words, like to replace the old buses where the bus drivers they couldn't afford to get the new and better buses. That the government would step in, provide them with some kind of a guarantee or some kind of assistance to facilitate them being able to afford acquiring the new buses. All of that could have been done. That is not the objective. They want to take this thing over legally through the legislative process of government, and then they want to decide who they want to allow to participate in the process. That's violation of the Constitution, as you stipulated earlier, Mr. Chairman, because the Constitution says that the government or nobody else have the right to deprive you or decide for you what jobs or means of subsistence or employment you want to pursue. That's not the prerogative of the government. They can't come and take away your present earnings means and put you in a discriminatory process.
I don't think that was the case, Mr. Brackett.
You're saying, I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you that you're saying that that is a good way to go, and I'm agreeing that that is a good way to go. But I'm trying to say to you, the way I see it, right? I'm entitled to an opinion, right? So the way I see it, and based on my knowledge and understanding of past experiences with this present government, is that they serve you with their right hand, and then they take back with their left hand, and then by the time you realize what took place, it's already a done deal. It's already a legislative process, as the minister himself is saying. They're going to put this process through legislation.
Well, I think that when the minister says, and I think that the people need to hold him accountable, the Constitution certainly does.
You're not following the Constitution?
The current operators should, through our court system. He said that let me finish, Mr. Brackett.
You've been there before.
Minister said but we can't go. History is a good teacher, but we can't judge what's happening now on the past behavior and history.
Why not?
We need to shape
repeating itself.
No, we need to shape it.
Hold on, Mr. Brackett.
We need to shape it and hold them accountable to what the law is. You see, and we can do that. We can do that through our through our judicial process. And so I believe that when the minister says he's going to make available the buses to the 21 people that currently operate and have expressed willingness, I think that not everyone that currently runs a bus service of some form has expressed willingness. I think there are more than 21 private bus operators throughout Belize as it stands. But
now you're addressing my points. Go ahead.
But the ones that have expressed interest, those 21 are entitled to it. I don't think that if a bus, whether it's gas or whatever it is operating safely, right, is within the laws and it's taking care of its passengers, obeying speed laws and everything like that, those companies should be taken off because they don't have the right bus. But I believe that the market will make that determination in time.
The government issues the permits. And if they don't want that bus to be
I don't think it's a matter of permit. I don't think it's a matter of permit.
Gentlemen,
I don't think it'll be a matter of permit. I don't think it'll be a matter of permit if you have a safe operating bus. If you have a bus,
Morrison, let me put my thought in here based on what you guys are saying. And I will prove it wrong. If this will be a private-public company, private-public, it means that taxpayers' money will be involved. It's the same scenario as BTL. They will take the funding that will be paid from taxpayers to make it private public. And the question I asked you before, and we are beating around the bush with it, let's hear it from the CEO so you guys and the people at home and abroad can know where I'm coming from.
We have done a lot in terms of meeting with the different stakeholders, those persons in the bus industry, and a number of them have signed on now to be a part of the new company. We have received the audited report done by the auditors, and those companies that were audited were brought in individually. The audit report was shared with them so they can see exactly what the company own, what the company is valued, and then based on the valuation of the company, then they decide how they're going to move forward. There were three options available to them. One, they can choose to opt out, to say, you know what, my company value 250,000, just give me my 250,000 and you take all my assets and I go about my business. Two, they can say, okay, the 250,000 that my company values, I will invest that into the new company as a shareholder. Or three, there was a hybrid formula where they can say, okay, the company valued 250,000, I will invest 125,000 into the new company to buy shares and then cash me out for 125,000. So those were the three options that were available to them. Majority of the operators chose to still be a part of the new company in terms of buying shares in the new company. And then those operators who have opted not to be a part of the company, any at all, they will be allowed to continue to run or to operate alongside the national company when the company comes on stream.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Morrison?
That is even better explanation than I was
buying you out.
Huh?
They are willing to buy you out. What is that telling you?
Well,
heading for full privatization at the end of the day.
No, but they're willing to buy you out if you're willing to sell out, right? If you're willing to sell and not operate, they're willing to buy you out. And
why would you not be willing to sell when you will not be able to compete? That's forcing you out. It's unconstitutional.
That's not forcing you. No. We need to understand business and we need to understand the marketplace. If they are not going to be competitive, they're going to take their money. If they don't want to, the first thing I think, talking about $250,000, I don't know any bus company that's worth. I don't know any bus company that's worth $250,000.
We are dealing with scoundrels. We'll tell you one thing, and they'll jack you up for something else. We're dealing with scoundrels, and we need to understand when you're dealing with scoundrels, how scoundrels operate.
Well,
and that is the problem that
I'm not going to prejudge. The thing is, I don't prejudge.
I'm making my own statement. This on my
yeah, I don't prejudge.
Else, you know?
Yeah, I don't prejudge these items and discussions on what is going on and what has happened in the past, because I believe in holding them legally accountable to what is on paper and to what they're saying. Not so much to what they're saying, but to what is actually contracted to.
They're capturing the marketplace. That's basically what it's all about. And the government will make the decision as at the end of the day, who will be the person that's left standing. It's a process.
But see, we all have a hand in how this private public company is structured. The government may have one idea of it, but I'm hoping that the people that are part of this 21 grouping has a better idea than what the government has. Because the way I see it is that the government buy the buses, finance the buses through public sources, and then make the buses available to the individual operators. They will get so many buses based on their current status and licensing agreement that they have under existing condition, and whatever is filled and needs to be shared up because of those exiting the market is shared up in some equal way with the remaining operators. That's how I see it. And that the government either make these buses a sale contract or a lease contract to these operators. That is how I see as fairness.
Mr. Morrison,
That is how I see as improving the safety for the passengers, how I see as improving our economic position and the mobility of our people through efficiency of getting from place to place, and also the reliability and the discipline of having qualified drivers that will obey the laws of the country and the traffic laws, so that they're not rushing and chasing each other on the road to get to a stop ahead of the other company. So
thank you, Mr. Morrison, but I want to say this. Based on what you are saying, I defer to it. I will tell you why. If the government wants to do good by these bus operators, why would they audit them and talk about how much their company is worth? That is not showing, hold on. That is not showing good faith.
That is
Because
good
if
faith.
you wanted to show good faith towards these bus owners, being you're calling it a public-private, you would have taken those buses without auditing what these bus owners own and give them those buses to run under their banner and let them pay for it as they go along. That would have been and should be done in good faith.
Well, I think the auditing part is to the government, from what I'm gathered, is going to take possession of these assets, and I don't know what they're going to do with old buses. Whether they'll scrap them or what they'll do with them.
Take possession of the whole
Gentlemen,
industry, not just the assets, the whole industry,
gentlemen, let's go
and
to
then
the other
privatize
clip
it on
so
their
we
own
can
later
go
on.
back in time. Hold on a second. Listen to this, because this has to do with exactly what we are saying, and it is done in layman's terms.
One of the things a few of the things we see BTL citing in terms of the positives has to do with reduced duplications, faster investment, just as a couple of the points that they make. How is it that as independent media houses, you're seeking to ensure the public understands both the potential benefits and the risks?
We all in the media would admit that the market is not big enough to deal with the number of TV stations and radio stations that we have. That's why most away the hand to mouth and some away the boat full of water. But I would never advocate for us then to say, well, maybe the government should find the resources to bring back state-owned radio and TV and then buy all of us out. Now, that would be fantastic, and especially if I were to be able to set my price. And you would say we would get rid of redundancies. We would get rid of complication and headache, and media houses were practically bankrupt. But the question that the public has to deal with is whether or not they were better served having state-controlled media as compared to having media houses that are struggling but are providing an atmosphere and an ecosystem that gives them choice and prevents the control of critical information and critical conversation. I have a smart number. My telephone is a smart number. The reason I have a smart number is because the existence of smart for me is a beautiful thing. When I have experienced what I have experienced in the past, when we've had the kind of monopoly control, whether it was private or government or both. The trauma stays with me.
I recall some of it.
So there you go, Mr. Morrison. Exactly what I was speaking about.
No, nobody's talking about a monopoly, Mr. Brackett. Both of you. The government buying and leasing the buses is ensuring a standard of product on the road. It is not. It is not operating the bus.
Mr. Morrison,
The bus
I am
operator.
not against what you're
No,
saying.
but we have to understand what a monopoly is, Mr. Brackett.
Mr. Morrison,
The operating
there's
of
nothing wrong with a monopoly if the government is using public funds to get these buses and say, here, Mr. Morrison, this will run under your banner. Here, Mr. Brackett, this will run under your banner, and you pay for the bus as you go.
that's what's
But
going to
when
happen.
you come to me and want to audit my assets and tell me you can invest it in this private public company, that is totally different.
Well,
Because
that
then
is
you are also mentioning they can buy me out.
yeah.
So how does
That
that become reasonable and in good faith? It is not, sir. And
well,
we are getting to that time. I want to go to the last two tapes that I will pay in concession to prove something here. Let's go to the tape.
I have seen the Prime Minister on numerous occasions actually say that he is not an owner of the company. His family owns the company, I believe, Centaur, and has shares in SpeedNet. And so the Prime Minister has actually recused himself in terms of discussing this matter. And so, but that is not to say that his family does have an interest in it. I believe his brother Jaime and his cousin have an interest in the company.
Your initial reaction to Centaur and CTI seemingly pulling out of this deal?
Well, from what I understand, they are not pulling out because of the details of the transaction. They believe, and BTL believes, it's a good transaction for the benefit of BTL and for the benefit of Belize. I believe it is more because of the reputational burdens. I believe that's what is referred to in the letter. And so that doesn't say anything about the transaction itself, the merits or demerits of it. And so that is what they have provided in their release.
People at home and abroad and gentlemen, how can you say the Prime Minister recused himself when he is the one who placed these personnel on the board? He's the one who placed the personnel in the PUC system.
And he's calling them to get them to do what he wants to have done on his
Let's
behalf.
go to the tape, Mr. Brackett.
I don't know anything. It has not gone to cabinet.
Okay.
I know this factually, and I regret to have to report that the Prime Minister, though his family has a vested interest, has personally called to persuade board members to support it. So we have the chairman, whose brother, the chairman, Mark Lizraga, whose brother owns CTI Cable, Next Gen, as it's called. He has been the one massaging the deal. He said he declared his conflict of interest to the board. And then on the other hand, you have the Prime Minister, who has called board members to personally explain to them why it's a good deal and why they should support it. Fine, I am not saying the deal is befouled, but I'm saying as Prime Minister, because of your compromise, because your family companies stand to benefit $45 million from this.
Wow.
You have to maintain more than an arm's length. And that has not happened. The Prime Minister has been actively involved in trying to, I don't want to use the word browbeat, but certainly trying to explain what he feels as the redeeming value of a transaction which will benefit his family directly. So
So there you go, gentlemen. Mr. Morrison, I go to you.
Well,
2 minutes, sir.
I'll say all the parties that absconded from the deal claim reputational burden that took a hit. And I believe the hit they took is because they had lacked transparency.
Malignancy. Malignancy.
They had lacked they
they
had
hit them
lacked
oneself and they blame somebody else.
they had lacked transparency, and they did not provide the disclosure to the
Oh,
public that
man.
was necessary. And so when people start looking at it, when citizens start looking at it, they find that there are many questions that needed answers, and the answers was nowhere to be found from the people that were expected to provide those answers, such as the chairman of the board of BTL, who would keep insisting that this is private, public, private type of company, and that the citizens and the investors, whether they be through the direct government involvement of citizenship or whether it be through the Social Security Board investment program in BTL, that they do not have a right to the disclosure. And so I applaud the Social Security Board representative on the board that resigned or refused and requested that there be further disclosures on this measure. And so for that, we may have saved the day for the moment. I don't know what second effort act will follow, but I am hopeful that it is a warning and a clear message to the government, to the family that were pushing this deal, that without proper disclosure, without proper transparency, without proper accountability, this cannot be pushed forward, and that the people of this country will not go for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Mr. Brackett, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir. Uh, Regardless of what the people have to say, it won't matter because the people are not privy to the board meetings, to the telephone calls, nor the agenda as to who's going to get what. And we were only able to get a little insight because Mr. Ashcroft is interested in part of how the process works out so that the organization that he deals with has to gain substantively from the process, and he will care less. Someone can get for him money. He don't care what happened to the other people, man. If they want to step out and don't want to sell, they could go about their business. But he wants to sell, and he wants to cash in for him money. That's the nature of the beast. We're dealing with the dragon of Chichester, the economic dragon of Chichester. And that's how he has operated all the time in the past, how he's currently operating right now, and for all I know, would probably continue operating for the rest of eternity. But the bottom line is, if this deal don't get signed, and he don't get free money, he can find another hiding at the government. Well, I shouldn't say it like that because some people might misinterpret and think that I talk about one hide one as a person. I talk about one backside in the government when he can haul and pull and make sure he can get free money from. Even if he have to sue the government, because he like talk about sue, and for the government they like bend over quickly and pretend that they don't want to get sued, and therefore they give the man hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the history of we country's political leadership in both mass parties. The Barrow administration give and make the man get away with over $500 to $600 million from us. The Belizean administration make the man get away with over 400 million. Plus, what they get away right now again with whatever comes up out of this. Plus, with the war demand, $25 million every year. When he only they get 13 million every year. We double up the amount Ghana for the next 5 years. That's the kind of jackals and hyenas that we are dealing with in terms of our governance management. They're always willing to bend over quickly for the guy that's going to give them a little kickback for political campaign purposes. than being honest and upfront with our own Belizean people, even when it's our Belizean assets at stake. Are you back, Mr. Chairman? Because I got a lot more to say, but
Thank you, Mr.
Could I
Brackett.
just
I need to
could I
share
just
something
add
with you.
something? Could I just add something quickly? You know, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Leonard Brackett. But Michael Ashcroft has nothing to get from the government on this deal if it falls through. He has a private company, Centric, SpeedNet, Smart. Those companies are private companies, private. So if he wants his money, he needs to sell his shares in those companies to the public, not to the government, but to the public, and maybe they will see some benefit and some good in it, and so he could raise his money.
We the government are the pocket that this man prey on and have been preying on from the time he got involved with Belizean affairs. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Gentlemen and people at home and abroad, we have come to the end of our show tonight, show number 386. I want to thank you, Mr. Morrison, for your input. I want to also thank you, Mr. Brackett, Leonard.
You're welcome,
It
sir.
was a healthy conversation, an open conversation with no holds barred, and I believe we have put a lot out there for the wider public to go back over this show and listen to it and see what is happening.
Mr. Chairman, before I close out the show, I just want to make one last statement for the night. I have never been, nor ever will be, an apologist for people who are taking advantage of my country and its people. Out of here with that kind of craziness, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
So again, to you, the people at home and abroad, I want to say good night, and I hope you are enjoying your new year. Good night.
We want every